All right. We are here today to discuss the um, Kickstarter for the Hobby Shop Dungeon um, by Ernest Gary Gygax Jr. And um, I never know how to pronounce um, French names. Benoist Poire, is that correct? I'm not sure. Um, So let's get into a little bit of information here about um, what originally happened, and why this is I call this the most infamous RPG um, Kickstarter ever. So back in September of 2015, September 2nd, 2015 to be exact. 1,284 backers pledged over $125,000 to the Kickstarter, which was called Ernie Gary Gygax Jr.'s The Hobby Shop Dungeon, or the Marmorial Tomb Campaign Starter. It's an opening module for fantasy tabletop RPGs in the Hobby Shop Dungeon series. Um, but there's not going to be a series because this one finally was fulfilled, for me anyways, fulfilled, and began to be fulfilled about a month ago, but I received mine today. Um, and all thanks to Stephen Chenault of Troll Lord Games. Um, who absolutely came to the rescue of um, of Ernie Gygax and Benoit, and saved their butts really, because it all started out looking just incredible. We were looking at the possibility of getting um, a Kickstarter that would, in effect, um, show us in more detail than ever before some of Gary Gygax's work, um, with some of the dungeons that he ran personally. So, just to kind of go over a few things here, um, I'm looking back here. Um, Talks about being funded and the stretch goals. And it says who we are. Okay, so this is GP Adventures LLC, which is no longer in operation. Created by partners Ernie Gygax Jr. and Benoit. I think it's Poire. I'm sorry if I pronounce that incorrectly. No disrespect intended. So, Ernest Gary Gygax Jr. is the first son of Gary Gygax, the co-writer and developer of Dungeons and Dragons originally. Um, so uh, it goes into his um, background as far as playing games with his father and with Bob Kuntz, his sister, and he played the very first magic user, Tensor. There were a lot of things that he directly influenced in Dungeons and Dragons, um, by playing Tensor, um, the wizard, and he helped create dungeon geomorphs, the monster and treasure assortments, created the water weird, and gave the slogan "the Game Wizards" to TSR. So yes, he has been very involved along the years. Um, his brother Lucian and David Moore of Trollord Games Lost City of Gaxmoor, which was wildly popular, and more recently the co-author of the Marmorial Tomb of Garn Patul. Um, so, anyways, so that's who Ernest Gary Gygax Jr. is, um, in case you were wondering. And Benoist is Frenchman and mapper extraordinaire. Lives in British Columbia, Canada, and he started playing D&D way back at age 11. Sounds familiar. I did as well. I started playing, I think, in 81 or 82, maybe before that. I can't recall. It's been so long. But he has done a ton of great mapping and some good writing as well. Um, the project was billed as a completely self-contained sandbox module in introducing um, the setting, the hobby shop dungeon, um, and the lands of Duinsmere. So let's see. It was originally created um, by Gary Gygax in 1978. Um, and the maps were initially drawn by Terry Kuntz. Um, so this was going to be like a huge release, and the pledges ranged anywhere from $1 just to help out with no reward, um, all the way up through $2,000, um, which nobody pledged, and there was $1,000 pledge which nobody pledged. There was a single backer of the $800 Sovereign Prince. Um, you get to pitch an idea, um, and all kinds of other things. I pledged in at $60 just because it, I can't. I back a lot of stuff, and I just wanted to mainly get the main stuff. So um, it included um, stretch goals and the main module, the wilderness expansion, the underworld expansion, print and digital. Uh, so, um, anyways, so things started off great. Everything sounded wonderful. Um, the the initial uh, uh, congratulations and thank you all came right directly from Ernest Gary Gygax Jr., the project creator, on September 2nd, 2015. Congratulations to you all for this home run. You've made this victory possible. It is time for some celebration and some well needed rest. We will regroup and update you on our next steps from here. Your support has made a huge difference. This is a tremendous first step towards the publication of the Marmorial Tomb and the Hobby Shop Dungeon. Thank you all. Let's see if I can go back without it resetting all of um, the updates. And yes, of course, it reset all the updates. I had it bookmarked so that I could take you right to when things started falling off the rails, which it did. I don't really know. No, I guess no one really knows the the full story behind what happened. But suffice to say, there were a lot of illnesses and tragedies in families, and a lot of promises made and not kept. as far as updates are concerned, as far as the funds being available and ready to go and enough to complete the entire thing. Um, trying to remember when it all went off the rails. If you bear with me just a second, I'll pull all that up here. I'm kind of doing this on the fly because I just received it, and I thought I'd do a video for anyone else that's waiting for the product or that has been watching it over the years and wondering if it ever was going to come to fruition. So let's see here. Okay. All right. So a lot of kind of regular updates and things that are unlocked, and then we get a a message entitled, and this was, sorry, it's coming up. How we plan to avoid the failure due to overwhelming success problem, and that was August 30th, 2015. An old friend asked me point blank, and with all the honesty characterizing him, it's looking wildly successful, and I still intend to pledge, but I've got to ask, what plans do y'all have to mitigate the failure due to overwhelming financial success problem that some Kickstarters have been suffering? My answer follows. I thought I might just as well post it here too. First we avoided some common traps like miniatures and the like. Some Kickstarters add stuff like that and ended up sinking tens of thousands of dollars in side projects that were not the core product, sometimes with no results in return. We were very careful to avoid this. Second, we plan on delegating the work on the conversions and customizations documents. So this was supposed to be converted over for a science fiction version, Hackmaster version, DCC version, Pathfinder, and others. That is never going to happen. But he goes on to say we won't quit. We'll use BackerKit to manage the pledges. We have many friends in the RPG industry who have been giving us advice, lending a hand, etc., etc. So he was basically trying to put everybody at ease before anything happened, which I thought was kind of odd, because if there's nothing wrong, then why start to post this kind of stuff? That was when I first started suspecting, wait a second, something's weird. Okay, so this is still before the pledges closed and it was a success. So we get down to update number 49, which was the congratulations that I mentioned to you. And it talks, the next few are talking about going the way forward for Marmorial Tomb, September 18th, November 1st, then January 15th. So the delays between the messages coming from them started to go off the rails there. So we had September 18th, 2015, which is just a few days after, talking about how the funds have been transferred and work on the main module has been prioritized. So they said that this was all pretty well written. And a quick wrap up. And they expected everything to be delivered in 2016. And let's see, March, in fact. March of 2016 is when they thought that they would have books in hand. And, of course, that didn't happen. And then November 1st was the next update 52, 53 was January. Um, and this was the first apology about no updates. And there were some comments that were, you know, getting wary. Um, then we had a January 19th update and talking about answering questions via video and things like that. When we get one a week later at January 26th, I'm not going to go over what these updates are because it just doesn't matter. And then we wait until March 22nd for an update where Gary Gygax Jr. comes on and says, um, a short update, everything's well with the project. Um, you know, it's the waits that start killing people. And, you know, a lot of people say this looks great. Still, I mean, at this point, a lot of people are saying everything's fine, everything's great. This is fantastic. Looks awesome, and it does. I mean, the artwork uh, by Jeff Easley. I mean, the artwork coming through was incredible. Let's see here. Um, then May 13th. May 13th was the next one. And this was by Benoist, talking about outdoor maps, hexes of the Midlands, and a general update. And let's see, he talks about the stuff that he got done. And this was the first update where we talked about, or where they talked about Ernest's health and a series of tests, hospitalization, and things of that nature. And let's see, talking about the funding and whether that has been touched for this medical emergency. And Luke Gygax, his brother, set up a trust fund for help with the medical at that point. And then they're asking for people to donate to that. Ernest was at home recovering. And I think that this was the original kind of, hey, this is going to slow us down a little bit. But we got some great pictures at that time of geomorphs and hexes and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, I think everybody felt like, you know, we just want Ernie to get better at this point. And nobody really cared at this point if it was a delay for, you know, health reasons. Because, you know, who doesn't want someone that important to the gaming industry pull through and continue his you know, family life as well as a project of this magnitude. So you know, and that was pretty well reflected in the comments. You know, everybody really kind of was just happy to hear he was okay, and really nothing too much past that. Let's see, May 17th. I'm just going to give dates of the updates. May 30th, July. So a couple months later then. And it was Benoist updating again that Ernest was doing extremely well, sober, and very well from health point of view. That his strength was coming back and things started looking you know, up from what was happening. Let's see here. Does he talk about, and again, more great pictures of incredible stuff. For the prismatic maze, all of that kind of stuff. And everybody's still pretty happy with that. Um, Everybody was still pretty happy with that explanation, which is good. Let's see, July, August, September 30th. Um, September 30th of 2016. So this is already, what, 8 months, 6 months, 6 months, 8 months, something like that, past the when we were supposed to have books in hand, and everybody was being cool about it. Everybody understood. Hey, this is a health thing. You know, we need to just let things happen. Um, and this update, September 30th, 2016, um, progress on the project and ongoing health issues. Um, let's see. Yeah, he talks about this is Benoit again. Retooling his schedule to work with all the components of the project on his own, um, rather than just focusing on his. That way, he could keep things moving. Um, and then how his wife suffered an accident, fell down some stairs, um, and how he had to take care of things. And then he caught a flu or cold that knocked him out for a while, and going to the hospital, um, and then goes into how Ernest is suffering through his own issues. So then he continues to, and he shows a ton of pictures of maps and great stuff again. Colorations of the maps that he showed in the previous one. Some new artwork by Chet Minton and whatnot. So let's see. Everybody still looks like they're really cool with everything. Um, yeah, everybody's still wishing all their best. I don't think anybody is even questioning completion at this point still. And it's already, much past the due date. Then we go to October 22nd, 1 month later, unveiling new maps. Let's see. Then October 29th, November 6th. So things are becoming a little bit more um, uh, regular again. And then November 8th, 2016, Benoit's um, dog, I think. Yes. Yes. Um, and his dog was murdered, I think. I mean, what a horrible thing to have happen. Your dog gets murdered. Um, neighbor's dog. Neighbor's dog, but his friend. Um, and then another dog was killed. Another neighborhood dog was killed about a month later. Okay. So the Prismatic Maze update in February of 20. Let's take a look at the updates, or I should say the comments. So the Prismatic Maze pictures were pretty amazing, um, and a great update overall. But I'm kind of interested to see how people started reacting at this point. I mean, people still want to add on to their original pledges at this point. And I kind of wanted to. When I saw these prismatic maze things, I was like, wow, that is amazing. And everybody in the comments is still really amazed and really happy. And, still nobody questioned anything because of who this was and what they mean to the community. And everybody's, you know, still happy. So then June. So we go from February, March, April, May, June of 2017. We're in now. So um, uh, we're a year past the due date, a year and a couple months past the due date. All maps were completed at this point, and let's see. I want to go to the comments. There is a turning point. Um, let's see. Any news on the project? Should be getting close to the end of this. Um, it will be delivered. Working on it one piece at a time. Um, it has been 3 months since we've gotten an update. I'm starting to wonder. And then a few people, hey, fight on, keep going, guys. We're cheering you. Um, and then a few people starting to say, hey, look, I'm willing to wait, but this is taking quite a while. And so I think that is kind of where things started to turn slightly. And then October, June, July, August, September, October, 4 more months later, not a word until then. And it is ETA Marmorial Tomb Kickstarter. So after 4 months of nothing, um, Benoist comes back on. No word from Ernest Gary Gygax in, I think, over a year at this point. We're still here, still working on the completion of the text on the extra maps and putting the whole thing together once and for all. And it says, as of now, it looks like we're heading into the beginning of next year for the module land expansions, and that they understand why people are getting nervous. And the updates, asking for a once a month update, asking if it's going to be in time for GaryCon 10. Some people are saying things like, however long it takes, not a concern. Keep at it. Let's see. Perfectly happy with the process. And then some of the negatives start coming in, talking about how $126,000 was pledged, and that the creative work was supposedly done. So people speculating on how much of the money's been spent. And as long as it looks great, people are okay. And people being frustrated. Let's see here. There's a credibility gap people are talking about. And there were 30 comments. This is I think the most amount of comments that any of them had so far. Let's see here. Okay, then we go from October 24th, 2017 to April 16th, 2018. Um, it says in that update that they've been keeping people updated every few days in the comments section on the Kickstarter page, as well as our main social media platforms. People weren't happy because some people don't use social media platforms. I do, but still, when I pledge on a Kickstarter, I expect their updates to come through updates. Um, and I don't filter through all of the comments in the comments section because there are so many to filter through to try to get an update. That this to me was the first kind of big excuse. Um, and after first resisting the urge and wanting to stay on course till completion, keep working on the module until done, then post here to explain the process and be much more precise on the question of ETA and fulfillment, I came to the conclusion, in agreement with the backers who encouraged me to do so, that something needed to change. So I'll start by going over the epic journey, and goes over an epic journey. Let's see. It's changed. They're changing their priorities regarding communications. First, we have been constantly at work this whole time on all aspects of the module's design. We still have the funds raised by the Kickstarter. We still have some work to do on the main module, etc. Let's get to the comments. And then there's an update on artwork, a lot of pictures. A lot of people saying that they're very happy with the update. In fact, most people still at this point are still happy with the update because everybody was just kind of like, oh, whew, they're still there. I think that everybody was just nervously optimistic. And people liked the post, but people were concerned. Again, the same thing that I had, that they want updates through the update system, not in, having to filter through hundreds of comments. Okay. Let's see. Then it went to May of 2018, talking about new art. July of 2018, encounters, figures, and factions. July 6th, sample figure and faction. March 21st, 2019. So we go from July 6th, 2018 to March 1st, 2019. No amount of outside energy will speed this up. So between July 6th, 2018 and March 1st, 2019, at some point, meaning Ernest Gary Gygax Jr. and Benoist, started getting sick of people asking about it. And so they went completely quiet. And then this was the update. As of this time, the whole project status is waiting for Benoist to complete the writing of the creations we generated together. So I think this was from Ernest Gary Gygax Jr. specifically. Then he will pass them on to me, and days later, we will, on video, chat finish cleaning the material up. He has no desire to hear or see any comments on the Kickstarter page, since it fires him up to defend the late status instead of working on it at all. He's a finicky artist and will not release parts of anything until it's all completed. He does not have access to the funds, and they sit at about $78,000. Lots of art, other business expenses, as well as expensive, worthless accountant to start out with. as soon as the project fulfills, I'll be closing down the LLC, and Ben somehow wishes to keep a company somehow. I do not. I play tested the Marmorial Tomb on 3 of the 4 games I ran at GaryCon 11, and will be running some more games at NT RPG Con in June. I don't believe that happened, because I think I went to that NT North Texas RPG Con. Maybe it did. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of a different year, but I don't think that happened. Um, I don't have the finished level 2 or level 3 Caves of Chaos, although some of the monsters and ideas I generated for them are lots of fun, and Mark Allen has a fantastic bit of art on my favorite creature of chaos. I don't respond to these statements for the same reason. I don't get into blogs and all that. If you want to talk to me about something, send me a Facebook message, and that's it. And then this was when everybody this was the turning point for sure. Another $40 lost. How do I get a refund? We settle for some inside energy at this point. It's been 6.5 months since you bothered to write anything. 4 years in, one hopes that you have a proof copy. Still can't believe how pompous Ernie's note is. Let's see. So many. One person writes, quotes, "So many wish that it would have been released earlier in a poorer, rougher form. What a load of crap." Those so many that wish it would have been released when it was promised, or explained why we're told the main module is entirely written and it still is being worked on. And Gary responds with talking about his chemo treatments. And, I completely understand when, when you have something as serious as cancer going on, it's going to delay you. I don't know what to say about that. It's almost like if I had a Kickstarter running, and I'm gonna just preface that what I'm gonna say by saying I did have a Kickstarter. It was successful. It was a one-person operation with a little bit of help from family as far as editing and things. But I contracted all the art. I, did all of the printing setup and all the layout, and I had a little bit of help with layout and things like that. But I was a matter of a couple of months late because I had problems with my die cutter, the company that I had contracted to do the die cutting of the tokens and such. But I put out a wealth of stuff, and everybody that worked with me on this, including the backers that backed at higher levels to name different things and whatnot, were all very satisfied with what they received. And this was just me, and it wasn't a small little 20-page pamphlet. It was a 108-page campaign starter with full fold-out maps, with handouts for players, and multiple handouts for players, as well as online content, as well as downloadable sound bites and things like that for monsters. So all of this was done and delivered. So yes, this is a much bigger campaign, but with the clout that he had, he could have pulled from, like he said in the very beginning, under the risks. Now, the reason I told you all of this is because if I had found out half a year in that I had cancer, And I would have at that point said, look, I have to deal with this. I'm going to refund proportionately all the money that's left that has not already been spent on artwork or this or that. I'm going to, proportionately refund every penny that's left in the fund, and then I will send out everything that's already done instead of keeping things going this long. Um, Everybody's different, but um, you know, something needed to happen at that point. Let's see. Back to the responses. What a cop out. I'm sure Papa Gygax is spinning. With the aggressive attitude people have, it's a wonder anybody even bothers to do Kickstarter projects. Yeah, and that was a quote because it's that was something that Ernest had typed. Um, why don't you knock it off with the negative waves? All of these kind of things saying, leave us alone. And then people are saying, I don't want this anymore. I just want my money returned. Um, People talking to their state attorney general. I mean, we're talking about 50 some messages, and most of them are very negative. People, writing a summary of what they're reading, basically. So basically, stop whining. We won't speed up. Stop trying to make us. We don't want to read your comments. After 350 or after 35, 3.5 years, the backers need to stop annoying us. And Benoist, the person who is left to do most of the work, is the holdup. Oh, and if you need to talk, use Facebook because they don't want to use Kickstarter. And that's really where the turning point happened. And stuff went downhill very quickly. That was March 21st, 2019. Then November 2019, and then November 8th, 2019. So there was nothing from March through November, but then the skies opened up and the sun began to shine. And this one starts out with greetings from Troll Lord Games. If you are reading this, you are probably a backer of the Marmorial Tomb Kickstarter. This Kickstarter is a bit late, and in order to help facilitate its completion, Ernie Gygax and Benoist, the principal co-authors, have partnered up with Troll Lord Games, and with a little luck and determination together, we'll knock things out. Okay. He goes into who he is, and talks about the popularity and the reputation of Troll Lord. And at this point, I think everybody was able to get a bit of a sigh of relief because, I mean, it was becoming like mob mentality. I'm not even going to go over to the comments section. So, November 8th is when this decision was made that Troll Lord was going to take over the project and work with the two co-authors to get this done. So here we are, March 7th, 2023. And if you remember correctly, like I said earlier, this was promised March of 2016. So yeah, we are at 7 years from the original date. I'm happy I got it. I honestly am glad that I received it. I mean, because I wasn't going to get the $60 back, and it's $60. Yes, to a lot of people, $60 is more than they want to lose. And that's completely understandable. So now basically I've spent 45 minutes talking about what happened on this project. And I'll try to put a link to this point where I'm going to actually show you what we've got. All right. Um, so I don't have any. I want to also say I don't have anything personal against Benoit or Ernest. It just stuff. It went off the rails, and I think the way that they handled it going off the rails was not helping by responding aggressively towards the backers, towards the people that put the money in their pockets. I don't even know if they made any money off of this. They may not have. They might have lost money on this personally, but thank heavens for Steven Chenault and Troll Lord Games. I mean, I knew that as soon as it got in their hands, it would fulfill. I never doubted it for a second. I mean, these guys are top notch. Okay, let's get into what has been received. I haven't even looked through it. All I did was open the box, and we're going to go through it all together. All right. So first of all, we have the main module here. This is the main game module, the Hobby Shop Dungeon. I'll show you the back. I mean, it's beautiful. The artwork is incredible. Now I've seen the PDFs of this already, so I know what it looks like. And I'm very, very happy to see that on the front inside it specifically says produced by the Chenault brothers, Troll Lord Games. It is absolutely packed with wonderful, wonderful stuff. The artwork is amazing. I mean, this is what I kind of expected it to be. With an amazing artwork. How do you, Alan doing very Errol Otis type artwork here. Full descriptions of creatures and artwork just packed throughout. So it is definitely not lacking whatsoever in its completion. Let me let you know. We're looking at 182 pages. And that's just on the main module. All right. We have the appendices, which are much needed because it is such a huge project. Handouts, maps. They are grayscale, but that's fine. It's done. It's in hand. And this one goes to 90 pages. Here we go. Here are the prismatic maze. This is a fold in half prismatic maze, rotating rings. I don't think these were intended to be cut out to build the maze itself. I think these are just showing the maze in their entirety or in their completion. Then we have full color maps. beautiful maps. A little bit of a lighter grain on the paper, but um, you know, a map nonetheless. And it makes a huge difference in price just going from one grain to another. So, with the understanding that they really had to make this work monetarily, um, I completely understand the reasoning behind going with this. So let's see. I don't think I'm gonna go through every single map because we're looking at. Let me show you how thick this map set of map packs is. I mean, we're looking at these are all maps. I will be more than happy to do another video where I go through them all. Um, I like things like this, side view maps. I love that kind of thing. Um, let's see. And they're beautiful. And some of these were meant, I think, to be cut out so that they could be stacked in the proper ways. Here, I'm gonna take this one out as well because this one's gorgeous. So overall, I mean, I've got to say, was it worth the wait? Yeah, for $60, it's worth the wait. And it was very unfortunately entertaining to um, watch people implode over that period of time about this project. And if I put in $800, I probably would have been fairly pissed off too. But I didn't. I put in 60. So I just sat in the background and, felt how I felt about it, which, yeah, I was a little frustrated, but these some of these people that were going absolutely nuts and completely flipping over this and threatening lawsuits and threatening way more than lawsuits. Um, you know, Reminded me of the Judges Guild Kickstarter um, with the Bledsoes, which has completely failed. At this point, is completely gone. The money is gone, and yet they still maintain the Judges Guild name and all that. Anyway, I'm not even going to get into that one. That one was ridiculous. But I digress. I'm very happy with what I've received. Okay, so here is the Underworld. Beautiful artwork. Beautiful artwork. Look at the size of this book. This book is 249 pages, and this is a GP Adventures castle and campaign called The Underworld. So, I, I'm, I can see why this took a long time. I mean, I'm still not sure about 7 years, but there, this is a lot of material. I mean, just this one book, I can understand, it taking a long time. Now, of course, hindsight is 2020, but when you're planning a project this big, and it's two people working on that project, um, you have to be practical to yourself. You know, you can be Benoit and Ernest and realize that even though you come from greatness, this is a huge undertaking. And you gotta have a much bigger team when you're preparing this much stuff. You need a much bigger team to complete this in a year. You know, you need a staff of writers. I mean, they did it, but it did take them 7 years, and it took them a bailout, basically. All right, so this is the wilderness expansion here. Again, beautiful artwork on the cover. Let's see, Mark Allen did the artwork on that, and we're looking at 193, 192 pages. I mean, I can't wait to dig into all this. And now this is perhaps one of one of my most this is I was most anticipating. So this is probably what I'm going to read first, and that is the Prismatic Maze. And so this is they wrote it for first edition, Advanced D&D, which I'm really happy about. I'm so happy they didn't stick with the Pathfinder release. Um, I'm it's first edition, and that makes me very happy. Um, I actually want to play this one for sure. 172 pages, and I mean, I want to play it though. I don't want to DM it. So if anybody is going to do a major long campaign of this in the Milwaukee area, please let me know. Um, I don't think I can travel out of town. I have way too many responsibilities here at home for me to even have a game an hour away. Um, it you know, I have to be able to get back to the house if it's necessary for me to get back to the house. So if you are planning on running Prismatic Maze, um, please let me know. Contact me either through the YouTube channel or head on over to the Lost Blokes Facebook page, and you can notify me there as well. Thanks for sitting with me for an hour. We're going to conclude this and just say, you know, in conclusion, you know, I'm looking at Jesus. I'm looking at 3.5, 4 inches of solid material here. I got way more than my money's worth. Way more than my money's worth on this Kickstarter. Um, it's beautiful. It's complete. Like I said, you know, I had my opinions go when all this crap was going down, but you could search me out, and I don't think you'll find one derogatory comment written by me anywhere, um, except for maybe a feeling of a bit of shakiness. But uh, I'm just glad. I'm just glad it's in hand, and that we got what we paid for. And to those who haven't, sorry that you didn't receive it, or sorry you didn't feel you got what you paid for. But the game goes on. Never stop rolling the dice. Again, I'm John Kadolf, one of the Lost Blokes. Thank you for joining us for this kind of rundown and run through of the Marmorial Tomb Kickstarter. Until next time, be nice.